Good afternoon, friends. One of the important burning issue in GST input tax credit, where the credit can be denied in the hands of buyer or recipient for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes, even after collecting the tax amount. In terms of section 16 subsection 2 clause C of CGST Act, there is specific provision: denial of credit in the hands of buyer or recipient if supplier has not paid the taxes. Issue is when supplier has collected the tax amount and faulted with not paying the taxes to the government exchequer, government department. Why credit would be denied in the hands of buyer or recipient of goods or services? This video is on this issue. If I go back to pre-GST era, in the case of central excise where Sandwich credit is available, Honorable Apex Court in the case of KK Industries has held no denial of credit in the hands of buyer for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. Coming to the second point, and which is very important for us, in VAT regime, maximum High Court has held, including Delhi High Court. Delhi High Court in the case of Arise India has held no denial of credit in the hands of buyer, recipient for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. SLP was filed against this Delhi High Court judgment in the Supreme Court, which got dismissed. Nothing was discussed on merit but to highlight maximum High Court in India for VAT regime has held no denial of credit in the hands of buyer recipient for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. Coming back to GST regime, in my humble opinion, I'm going to argue three parameters, that on this basis of three parameters, there should not be denial of credit in the hands of buyer or recipient of goods or services. First one, that the period prior to GSTR 2A and the period after GSTR 2A. So this GSTR 2A came sometime in the beginning of 2019. Until this GSTR 2A made available through GSTN portal, recipient buyer was not knowing even that his supplier, even after collecting the tax amount, has not deposited with the government exchequer. बायर को तो मालूम ही नहीं था. GSTR 2A जब आया, और शुरू में तो प्रॉब्लम भी होती थी कि GSTR 2A से ये नहीं मालूम पड़ता था कि सप्लायर ने टैक्स का पेमेंट कर दिया या नहीं कर दिया. अब आप मुझे बताइए, एज ए बायर एंड एज ए रिसिपिएंट, I paid the amount to the supplier. Supplier faulted with not pay the tax amount to the government exchequer. मेरे पास information ही नहीं थी as a buyer. Why my credit would be denied? For the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. Second argument, एक legal maxim है, lex non cogit ad impossibilia. You cannot compel a person to do something which is impossible. Very interesting. आप कैसे बायर को पेनलाइज कर सकते हैं? हाउ यू कैन पेनलाइज द बायर for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. And when the machinery provision ITC matching and mismatching, it was envisaged that these information would be coming through GSTR 2A, which came sometime in 2019 beginning. How you can compel buyer and recipient for the period prior to GSTR 2A. This recipient and buyer can really and strongly argue before the court. Lordship, GSTR 2A was an important document which was supposed to be provided as per GST law envisaged in the country for ITC matching and mismatching. जब 2A आया ही नहीं, मुझे मालूम ही नहीं एज ए बायर कि मेरा सप्लायर टैक्स का पेमेंट कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा, हाउ समबॉडी कैन कंपेल टू मी, बिमल यू हैव टू चेक, कैसे करूंगा? सो माई क्रेडिट कांट बी डिनाइड, कांट बी डिनाइड. आई एम गिविंग द आर्गुमेंट. पीरियड प्रायर टू GSTR 2A we are having strong ground to argue before the court, but period after GSTR 2A, yes, as a buyer, as a recipient, we have responsibility to check कि मेरे सप्लायर ने टैक्स का पेमेंट किया या नहीं किया, और ये इंफॉर्मेशन अब आती है. So as a buyer, my responsibility to check and verify before availing credit. Coming to the third argument. When recipient and buyer has paid the taxes to the supplier, supplier faulted and not paid the taxes, whether department can demand this credit which is availed by the recipient when supplier defaulted. There is one judgment coming from Madras High Court, Madurai bench, D.Y. Bethel Enterprises. You can see my detailed article on same. And as per this judgment, this was held in silver lining way. You cannot demand tax from the buyer or recipient for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes when no investigation, no inquiry is initiated against the defaulting supplier. Yes, I do agree कि गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स का पैसा नहीं मिला, बट जब तक कि आप डिफॉल्टिंग सप्लायर के अगेंस्ट में इन्वेस्टिगेशन एंड इंक्वायरी इनिशिएट नहीं करेंगे, जब तक उससे डिमांड नहीं करेंगे, आप रिसिपिएंट और बायर के एंड पे जाके ये क्रेडिट डिमांड नहीं कर सकते. सो यू हैव टू टेक एक्शन अगेंस्ट डिफॉल्टिंग सप्लायर एट फर्स्ट गो, एंड नीड टू बी सप्लायर को और रिसिपिएंट को दोनों को रजिस्ट्रेशन डिपार्टमेंट ने दिया है. डिपार्टमेंट मस्ट ट्राई टू रिकवर दिस मनी फर्स्ट from the defaulting supplier. Then only they can go back to recipient. But as I said, period prior to GSTR 2A, as a buyer, I was bona fide. I was having no machinery provision. I was not having even any document coming from GSTN portal as envisaged. So I can very well say no credit can be denied for the buyer or recipient for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes. And department must take, and it is compulsory, and you all will agree with me, department must take action against defaulting supplier first, because he is also being given registration and registered with the department. Without taking any action against supplier, can you demand tax from the buyer or recipient? Looks illogical. And that is what the conclusion of this video. No credit can be denied. in the hands of buyer or recipient for the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes even after collecting the tax amount. Yes, this is the burning issue, a lot of litigation, a lot of divergent perspective, but I try to make it simple from my perspective. In my humble opinion, at least period prior to GSTR 2A, we are having strong ground to argue before the court. And we can very well say, unless action taken against supplier, no credit, no tax can be demanded from the buyer of recipient of goods or services. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Thank you very much.